Here is this week's Sister Scoop. We have a really exciting first topic, which is that the Russo brothers are Lord and Saviors, especially considering if you're a Cap girly or Cap, not just Cap girly, Cap anybody, they might be back for Avengers 5.
It's
And
potentially a 2-movie deal. I mean, it is interesting. I feel like we've been talking about the directors of especially Avengers 5, because that is the first one on, coming up. I feel like we've talked about throughout our Sister Scoop so many different options. We know Destin Daniel Cretton from Shang-Chi was originally tapped. Then I think a couple of weeks ago we were talking about Sean Levy from Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
I think at some point we've talked about other people thrown in there, throughout the last couple months. So this is always changing, always evolving, but these are some familiar names.
Yeah. This is one of those, in my opinion, that's like, well, if it's not broken, you don't need to fix it, right? And I mean, and I have my qualms with Endgame. I really don't need to go into it. We don't have the time for it. But if you think that these guys have now directed 4 of the biggest movies, really, of the entire MCU, The Winter Soldier to this day is held probably still in the top 3 as one of the best movies the MCU, if not the best movie the MCU has put out. Then, of course, you have Civil War, which, other than the whole Cap, like, is it really a Cap movie? Is it not? Kind of debate. You have that movie, which was amazing. Infinity War, which can't even be touched. And then Endgame. Like, they have put in the work. They have the resume already with Marvel and the MCU. Like, do it. They haven't touched a single Phase 4 or 5 project. Bring them in. They know how to do the team-up movies. They've done 3 of them. So let them do it.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. They have the experience. They clearly understand the MCU and how to make really successful movies that are not only like entertaining and really well made, a la, Winter Soldier, but understand for the most part, there are some things, for the most part, how to bring characters from many different franchises together in a film that makes a lot of sense. Again, like you pointed out, Infinity War is incredible. Does it kind of muck up Thor's character development? Yes, we've talked about that, but I would say on the whole, we can all say Infinity War and Endgame are some of the more solid pieces, and then don't even get us started on, of course, Winter Soldier, and that being held in the regard that it is. To your point, just reiterating what you're saying, they have the chops. They've proven themselves. It would be just like putting in like a Ryan Coogler, right? Because he is another one who has done multiple, he doesn't have the team up experience, but has done multiple really successful films, really well done films. And I think Marvel has taken some flack lately on some of their, output and the quality. Maybe we go back to people who are tried, true, and tested. That's not to say we can't work with different directors in the future, but for big films like this that are going to be another culminating point, maybe we go back to the people who do it best.
Yeah, I totally agree. And honestly, just to add in and sprinkle this in there as well, keep in mind that one of your big characters that's going to be part of all of this is obviously Captain America, now Sam's Captain America, and they have done almost his entire story. They are who brought him in initially, and they have told, with the exception of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, almost every part of his story in the MCU. So keep that in mind, that they already know how to tell these stories, and especially a character like that. So yes, I agree with everything you said. I think we're on board for the Russos to return. I've missed them, if I'm being honest. So I would really, really hope that they're going to come on for Avengers 5 and 6. But moving on to our next topic, which is kind of fun to talk about as we're moving right into Deadpool and Wolverine around the corner, is that Marvel was putting out fake information regarding the movie, which I'm like, that is genius. Thank you. Because I feel like you've been dropping so much that like now I'm like, what was real and what wasn't?
I know. It's like simultaneously messing with my head, but also from like our show standpoint, y'all know we do our predictions. We did an entire pre-predictions episode focused on cameos. And now half the stuff we did may or may not have been based on fake info that Marvel intentionally planted. So cool. I guess like it is fun. It is so fun, but it is also, there's a little part of me that's like, really? Like I did all my research. I formed these really great opinions based on said research, and then you lied. Like, I
Yeah.
love him, but I hate him for it.
But it's smart because this is another one of those movies where it's like, there's so much happening. And I'm thinking of MOM specifically because I feel like that was one of those going into it. Everybody was like, this guy's going to be in it, and this guy's going to be in it, and she's going to be in it. And obviously, we did get a lot of cameos and some really cool ones, but it definitely was nowhere near what everybody expected it to be, which was probably for the best. But regardless, I mean, that was kind of what was happening with Deadpool and Wolverine. So it's kind of fun now to sit there and be like, so even some of the things we think are has been confirmed might not actually be real.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a whole trip. I know we're just not very far away from seeing it ourselves. So, as we get closer, like knowing that nothing potentially has been spoiled, right? Like everything
Yeah,
we think we know is on the table for not actually being true. That means there's a whole other, way to look at it, which is there's a whole other group of things that are true that we have no idea about. And there is a
right.
part of me, as frustrating as it is when it comes to predictions, there's a part of me who's excited to go into this film with really little knowledge of what's going to happen and be so pleasantly surprised. I mean, the early ratings are out and they are fantastic. I mean, some of
Yes.
the, editorial stuff that's come out, the reviews have been stellar. I am so excited. I don't know what to expect, and I think that's even making it better.
Yeah, I agree. And as T kind of was saying, I mean, when we are recording this, we are less than 24 hours out from seeing our because I think we're right on top of each other. I think you're 15 minutes before me or something. So our showings are in less than 24 hours as of this recording. So to your point, I don't know what's real. I don't know what's not. It really has me going in like completely blind. And I couldn't tell you the last time I've been this excited, genuinely so excited for a Marvel movie. Not that I'm not ever excited to see them, but like this hype has been a different type of hype. Like this is getting me through the week.
It kind of feels like it did like before Infinity War and Endgame, or like even in that era leading up to it, where like
Yeah.
every Marvel movie coming out was kind of a holiday. And like maybe because this is the only one we're getting this year and they're also kind of sparse on like live action shows. Don't get me wrong, we loved, X-Men 97, obviously. But
Yeah.
there isn't a lot of live action content coming out this year. So when it does come out and when we get to all go to the theater en masse, like this feels like it did a long, long time ago. And it hasn't, with the
Yeah,
exception of
for
maybe
sure.
Spider-Man, it hasn't felt like this in a long time.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm so excited. I'm actually hoping there are people in my theater this time. So that will be exciting if there is. But moving on to our last point, because we're running a little low on time, Jun Li has been cast in Spider-Man Noir. They have not confirmed the role she is playing. I think they were saying something of like a musician or something in that when I was looking at an article, but it's an unconfirmed role, but a reoccurring character. So I don't personally think I know her from anything, but I don't know. Maybe do you?
I haven't actually seen her, but if you guys have seen Babylon with Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, she was in that, as well as I believe it's a TV show called Wu Assassins. If that was something that you've seen, she was in both of those. I have not seen either one of those projects, but knowing she's in with the likes of Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie and that type of ensemble cast obviously speaks really well to kind of her credibility as an actor and her ability. Super excited. I mean, if you think about who else is cast in this show, Nick Cage, Lamorne Morris, she's, really getting into cast with established actors. So though she may not be a name that we all, or at least I'll speak for myself, is not a name that I knew off the top of my head, getting these types of roles, I could see her kind of her star rising in the future. I think she'll be interesting. I'm excited to see who she does play. To your point, Katie, I also saw that she was going to be like a performer in like a top club in the city. Again, like a recurring character. So it's nice to see that some things are starting to come together with this show. I feel like every week now we're getting little tidbits here and there about,
Yeah.
how many episodes or a new person is cast, and it's starting to help us kind of piece together what exactly is going to happen in this show, because it is kind of a first of its kind coming out of the Spider-Verse to have this live action. So super excited. Sounds like she's going to be a great addition to the cast, and can't wait to see who she plays and how she interacts with the rest of the already very notable cast.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. And with that, that has been this week's Sister Scoop. Make sure you guys are keeping up with us between Sister Scoops, with the podcast, pretty much everywhere. Go and find us on socials at Sisters Assembled. And we will be back next week with another round of Marvel news. See ya.